This is Goals with Soul, the podcast for visionary coaches and entrepreneurs, building your business with inspired action. In alignment with your mission and authentic message, so you can create impact for your soul clients and feel lit up every day. I'm your host, Jo Ingram, married mum of 3 daughters from London and a former ad agency director turned business coach and strategist. In Goals with Soul, we blend revenue generation with energetics, marketing strategies with pranic healing, and ambitious business goals with our soul's desires. If you're looking to build your business with less efforting and more ease, this is the podcast for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to Goals with Soul. I'm Joanna Ingram. And one of my core brand values has always been authenticity. From a very early stage of building my business, about 6 months in, I realized that I had been going down a path of bringing my corporate experience into my business, that of productivity, accountability, CEO strategies. And although it had been very successful in getting my first clients, it wasn't as successful in giving me the sustainable and joyful business that I desired. In actual fact, I entered into complete burnout after that first 6 to 8 months and had to go deep within to my divine feminine and start understanding what ease and flow really looked like, started moving into alignment, and also started to understand that my messaging needed to be more authentic to who I really was. I wanted to be more authentic about the way I showed up and the way I shared, because I was no longer satisfied in having a career as I had done in corporate where I couldn't be entirely myself. And I knew, of course, that so many others wanted to do the same. Now, along that journey, being authentic hasn't always been easy. And oftentimes it leans into a high amount of vulnerability, something that I have never been very comfortable with. I've always instead decided to be somebody that just shows up and takes care of business and just does what needs to be done. A bit of that martyr spirit, carry on regardless. And it's only in recent times that I've realized that sometimes surrendering, sometimes being in the moment, being fully present, even if it doesn't feel comfortable, is perhaps the only way to truly grow and to truly grow as a person, not just as a business. And for that reason, I wanted to be really authentic about some stuff that I'm going through in my life right now, some stuff that you don't often see showing up on Instagram, showing up on Facebook. People don't talk about the real stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And it infuriates me that so many coaches and so many experts in our industry instead show up with a glossy veneer, oftentimes talking about that champagne lifestyle and the joyful personal growth they're going through without really addressing some of the harder things that may be preventing them showing up in the ways that they desire most. I wrote a really heartfelt email, which if you're on my email list, you may have seen a couple of weeks ago, that I really wanted to share with you, my listener on Goals with Soul. I'm going to read it to you and hopefully it'll become really clear why authenticity is important. And my husband asked me, why are you sharing this? What's your purpose? I imagine he wondered whether it had a business strategy behind it. And actually my response was, I just feel deep in my soul that I need to speak this, that I want to share it in the most intimate places of my business, my email list and now my podcast. I really just want to be authentic because that's my core value. That's what I help my clients do too. But what happened next really surprised me. Within an hour or two of sending that email, I got a flurry of responses back. People who hit reply and wrote to me about their own experiences, a couple of which have kindly given me permission to share with you what they said. And I'm going to do that after I share the initial email that I sent out. Here goes. I thought a lot about what I wanted to say in this email, and even if I wanted to say it at all. You see, so much of the online industry perpetuates living our best lives, which usually means a thriving business, happy families, and excellent health. But the truth is that life isn't always rosy, and despite our best efforts to get into high vibration with the universe, the 3D world can throw curveballs that create confusion and make us reassess our priorities. I've had a few of those in my 48 years on Earth. There was the time I nearly died in childbirth, and my first husband left me 8 months later. And the time my surrogate twins were born 3 months early, not knowing if they would survive. Or losing my high-flying career at the start of the pandemic, and my husband losing his big corporate job just a year later. Recently, there's been my sister's ovarian cancer diagnosis and recurrence, as well as 2 emergency surgeries for my husband this year. This isn't a sad story competition, and I'm sure that you have some stories to tell that would have me in tears, and that's just my point. Life can be complex, sad, stressful, and darn unpredictable. Which kind of brings me to my point for today, which is where I'm at right now. My strong opinions. As a messaging specialist, I have strong opinions about what coaches should share in their marketing. And I have a rule that you shouldn't share from a wounded place, but rather from your scars. This ensures you're healed from this trauma wound and that the sharing is in service of your client's growth rather than your own pity party. And so, my dear friend, I have to warn you that I'm breaking this rule right now, sharing in faith that I'm called to vulnerability and authenticity, and the reasons why will unfold in divine timing. I have a confession. I'm not doing any marketing right now. My Instagram feed, with the exception of some batched podcast episodes, which my VA schedules, is strangely devoid of recent content. Similarly, I'm not scheduling any new presentations or launches, and the reason is simple. My kid needs me. She's not at school right now, she's staying at home, and it's possibly the most intense mothering experience I have had since I sat in the NICU 12 years ago and prayed for my twin babies' lives. My business growth is on ice. My social life is paused. It's complete surrender. Sometimes you're just called to let all expectations go and lean into what is right in front of you. The hard work, the heartbreak. And with that, I'd like to share a second rule I'm breaking. With 20 plus years of marketing experience, I believe that your marketing activity should be consistent as much as possible. But also because I'm deeply into energetic alignment, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to post every day, as some would have you believe. But still, it doesn't mean that you get to ignore the importance of marketing when you're running a business. And yet, while I'm concentrating on my family and pausing most of my business tasks, with the exception of still working with current clients, I have chosen to pause my marketing activity. I could have repurposed old posts. I could have asked my VA to create some content for me, or I could have run some ads to my masterclass, but I didn't. Instead, I felt called to explore how I was feeling shame about being a marketing expert who has her own marketing on pause. And I realised that during my ad agency career, I successfully advised multi-million-pound advertisers to generate revenue without having to run a similar company. Expertise is a skill that's earned, and it cannot be dimmed by circumstances. My clients continue to get results, and that's independent of me being in any specific phase of my own business. This resonates with my work with a client who didn't feel that she deserved to be successful because her health had suffered, even though her clients could learn so much from her. If you're curious about this story, tune into episode 155 called How to Leverage Being Only 2 Steps Ahead. Now, as I share this, my throat is a little tight. That's the throat chakra of truth. And I know that's because I'm pushing against my own personal comfort zone and sharing nonetheless. I'm leaning into trust and certainty that this is a season of personal growth, and I'm darned excited about what I will learn. Will my business get back on track soon? I don't know. And that's part of the surrender, to be without agenda. Will my daughter be well and back to her old self soon? I don't know. But I am doing everything in my power as her mother to make that mission my priority. And in summary, sometimes there's a crossroads that you never asked for and you have to pick a lane. And it may not be the one you were planning. It may be for a short while or for a long time. And it will definitely show you something new about yourself that you'll always appreciate. So that's me. And if you're here, thanks for listening. And I wonder if you've had big life experiences that have derailed where you thought you'd be and perhaps created opportunities for new adventures or growth that you would otherwise have missed. I would love to hear your story. If you've got time, please email me, joe@iamjoeingram.com, and share your stories with me. With love, Joanna. I was so nervous when I hit send on that email. I'm getting those little butterflies now speaking into the microphone too. Sometimes when we speak our truth and there's an element of shame in it, it can bring up these feelings of discomfort, make us feel disingenuous about how we're building our business. How frequently the mindset coach has mindset problems herself, or how frequently the health coach falls off the bandwagon of healthy eating and exercise. And yet we keep showing up to help our clients and understand that their results are not just dependent on us being perfect, but on us being authentic. Because progress doesn't happen in a straight line. Instead, progress can often look like twists and turns, misdirections and redirections. And I think for that reason, my words really resonated. And I'd love to share with you a couple of responses I got that have meant so much to hear that others resonate, that others are also experiencing seasons in their lives that were unpredictable, that lead them too into more authenticity, more trust, and more surrender. Dear Joanna, thank you for breaking the rules and sharing. Family is more important than anything else. And I'm sending you healing thoughts that your daughter recovers quickly. Life is a strange path, and things happen along the way to change our course, as it has happened to me too. Breast cancer treatment, which should have taken 6 months, took 18, with many complications and a few near misses with the hereafter. But I am still here, and listening to the nudges the universe sends me. Take care. Much love to you and your family. Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for this beautiful and so wonderfully written newsletter. First of all, I just want to say I'm so sorry for everything that's still happening to you and your family. I'm sending you all the love, prayers and blessings that everything will work out and be fine in the end. Reading your newsletter made me immediately exhale and relax into the situation I'm in right now. And suddenly everything felt easier because I felt so seen and understood. Thank you so much for this gift. I think that what you're sharing is something everyone will experience in their life. And a lot of people will choose not to share this, or maybe even completely deny that it is happening. But you've opened a door to me, and I know countless others, to just be honest with ourselves, which always makes things easier in the end, I find. Also, I think you pretty much know best of all the times that have derailed where I thought I'd be, especially also with some recent damage I've caused. But I also see the guidance and new direction that's coming through, and I'm trusting in that. My sister sent me this beautiful Star Trek quote yesterday, and yes, it made my autistic nerd brain very happy, and your email reminded me of it. It goes, "It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life." Sending you so much love. Hi, Joe. Firstly, I just want to celebrate your generous sharing and beautiful vulnerability. There is so much of the exact opposite coming through left, right and centre at the moment, and it's driving me nuts. Thank you for an honest and genuine and relevant message. Many people will relate, I'm sure, and I certainly do. Good on you for hitting send. Interestingly, while I was doing my own morning Qigong and meditation practice a couple of weeks ago, I had an entire 1,200 word article download out of my head, which I dictated into my phone there and then, which was effectively me coming out as a light worker. I haven't sent it out to my peeps yet, although I can feel spirit giving me gentle divine kicks up the backside to send it out. More pertinent to your sharing, though, is that I've been working very part-time for the most part of 7 years during a 10-year health journey, and have had whole chunks of time this year and last year with no marketing. I've just come out, popped my head out again in the last couple of weeks with a couple of articles, but I'm completely rethinking what social media posts should look like, and I'm definitely stopping creating content for the sake of regular posting, even if it's of reasonable quality. I realised in the last month or so that we are all being called to live much more in the moment, to not be having so many rules or even set daily activities like a certain kind of exercise at a certain kind of time, but to be constantly sensing and intuiting what it's time for now, whether it's yoga or a run, writing an article or painting the backyard fence. And I'm very curious what that means for marketing activity, because if that's the case, then it turns my old strategies on their head. And I wonder if that resonates with you at all. Wishing you all the best with navigating your daughter's needs and your own. Thanks again for your generous sharing. And here's to letting ourselves just be where we are, as we are right now. Warmest wishes. I've been so touched by receiving messages from people who not just support but truly understand. And I want to close this episode off with two things. Firstly, to update you that now, sort of 3 weeks after writing that email initially, things are starting to look up for me and my family. It is a long process and one that can't be rushed, one that does require full surrender of a type that I have not experienced previously. I am enjoying letting things go and being fully present, leaning into motherhood as I did last time when my twins were babies 12 years ago. I think sometimes we build our businesses in honour of good intentions, and then accidentally those intentions slip away or become less important as the busy work becomes more dominant in our day-to-day. And I'm proud to say that I have got my priorities right. And I'm excited to consider a time in the not too distant future where I start leaning in again to business activities with a new, refreshed perspective about what is truly important and what I can let go for good. And secondly, I want to share that if any of the content here has resonated deeply with you and you're going through your own personal life challenges, I just want to send lots of healing vibrations and love to you. Sometimes simple words of support, validation, recognition can mean the world. And although, of course, this is a podcast episode and not a two-way dialogue, I want to say that energetically, I see you, I sense you, and I support you. Thanks for listening to Goals with Soul, and thank you for indulging me in this deeply personal episode. Next episode, we will be back to our normal content, and I have a phenomenal interview to share with you. Until then, with lots of love. Bye now.